Well, we're back at it again. I bought the cheapest, worst SS 35th anniversary Camaro that was on the market. And it's got racing stripes. Here's the typical deal. I'm always searching Craigslist and Facebook, and this thing popped up, and it was way too good to be true. We'll talk about the price later, because that keeps biting me in the butt. There's too many of you guys watching my episodes, and then you show up to buy the car, and you're like, well, I know what you paid for it, so I'm only going to offer you that or less after I've seen you do a bunch of work to it. So we're not doing that this time until it's already sold. Anywho, it is a 2002 red, black, T-tops, door handle, Camaro SS. Here's the deal. This thing has been not running for 3 years. It has been parked behind someone's house for that time. It was in the driveway for a long time, but now it is in my driveway. So it definitely needs a battery. The fuel is probably destroyed. There's like a serious mold issue with things. I haven't yet taken the seat covers off. There's like a lake behind the passenger seat. I'm pretty sure that's from the T-tops leaking. I hope I can find something that can take all this off. The window tint is like terrible. There's gauges. I don't know if they work. I'm not even sure how many miles are on this thing. I was told 110,000, but who knows. Anyway, you're gonna join me on the adventure tonight where we don't do an oil change and we don't put new fuel in it, and we try and start with a new battery. I forgot, for the core charge I'm going to need the old battery. Oh, it's right there. It looks just like all the truck batteries. So we got our new Walmart battery. It was like 50 bucks, I think. I was gonna spring to get the garden and lawn care one, but you know, we don't need that race car life. We just want that running car life. So anyway, I think I saw a key sitting inside, and I have my new assistant with me today. This is Garrett. He's one of my two sons. He's 3.5 years old-ish, and he's super excited. Anyway, so again, this thing has 3-year-old gas, I've been told. I doubt it's gonna start, but I did buy some brake cleaner if it doesn't. I mean, it'll be a bloody miracle if it does. It does have oil. I checked it. It's very brown, but it does have oil. Anyway, let's see what happens, I guess. So it didn't start, just like we expected. So what I'm going to do now is take off the plumbing going into the throttle body and spray some brake cleaner in there. Everything's like a far stretch over in this thing. Only the very best in starter fluid. Walmart brake cleaner. Flammable. Has to be flammable. Learned that lesson the hard way a few times. Wow, I see a lot of carbon buildup. So there's a chance this will work. There's a chance it won't. Let's find out together, shall we? As all the brake cleaner evaporates and nothing works. It coughed there for a second, so that's good. It didn't sound great, to be honest. Probably gonna have to do a couple sprays with this. I know, this gas is super duper old, but we kind of just want to see if we can keep it running to guarantee that the fuel pump is at least sort of trying to work before we have to drop the tank, empty out all the gas, and put new gas in it. Yeah, I really don't want to do that. Kaboom! So I hope that backfire looked really cool. I think we have really bad fuel. So it's the next day, and it's super windy out today, so the audio is probably going to be total garbage for these clips that I'm about to record. That's life. So as you guys saw, the Camaro coughed and started and blew the fireball, whatever. So it will run, but on brake cleaner. Now, it's not running on the fuel because I believe the fuel is bad, but I also don't know if there's pressure at the rails. So right now, I'm gonna check to see if there is in fact fuel pressure. So I got my fuel pressure checker, and I'm like looking all over for where to do it on this engine. And it's like, okay, well, there's nothing on that side, so it must be over here. Well, what's up with this weird connector? Oh, maybe it's that. I'm looking all over. It's like, why is there a harness going to the end of the fuel rail? Because it already has a fuel pressure gauge installed. It's gonna be one of those type of days, but who knows if it works. I guess let's turn the key on and see if it does anything. Well, so that doesn't tell me if the gauge works or not. The needle moves, but that's about it. But it's not reading any pressure, so I guess I gotta disconnect everything that's up at the rail and put on my own tester. I pulled off this little assembly for the aftermarket fuel pressure gauge, and it's totally dry inside, so that's not a great sign. Anyway, we still gotta hook it up and confirm. 0. We got a bad fuel pump. So now that we know the fuel pump is obliterated, it makes me not want to drop the tank. So I'm going to do a little bit of research and come back and find out if, in fact, dropping the tank is the only way we can do it. I mean, if that's what it is, that's what it is. It sucks, but whatever. But I wanted to find out real quick what these seats look like underneath. I've never had good experience with this because there's a reason somebody put seat covers on it, but let me rip this band-aid off and find out what we got underneath. I've had fairly good luck when buying cars. I'm starting to wonder about this one. Like, it's not terrible, right? Just blown out, sorry about the lighting. But I prefer them without seat covers. I'm just not a seat cover guy. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the passenger seat. It's probably gonna be just as bad. I think they really enjoyed this car, showing its age and the fact that it may have gotten bamboozled. Well, that's a first. Passenger seat looks worse than the driver's seat. This car is starting to make me think that it's not a Camaro and more of a bone marrow. This thing might only be good for a swap. Not a whole lot I can do for the time being, so I'm probably just going to pull as much of it as I can out of it so that it can dry. Of course the T-tops leak, and I guess we'll see what we're left with once I get everything out and vacuumed. So as it turns out, you have to drop the axle and suspension and all kinds of other crap just to get to the fuel pump. I don't plan to own this car very long, so we're just going to cut out that access window like everybody does on the internet, because I don't know why GM can't make it this easy. I guess they just want to charge the extra labor rates to do all this extra work just to replace a commonly replaced item like a fuel pump. Anyway, we got that Harbor Freight special going on. As soon as I get it cut and pried open, I'll show you what we got. So things went pretty good as far as things can go, except the armature that's on the side of the pump that tells you the fuel level literally rotted off, and it's somewhere in the tank. So I got one of these old school siphon pumps. It was like $1 at Harbor Freight, and then a little gas tank. So I'm going to empty out as much as I can from the tank because it's all bad gas, I'm sure anyway. Now, I want to point out that Leon told me ahead of time. He said if it's been sitting for 3 years, you know, there's a good chance the fuel pump is bad. I said, why is that? He's like, well, if it had less than a certain amount of fuel in it, basically it's just oxidization on top of that pump. So if the pump was fully submerged in the fuel, then that would be one thing. But it looks like since it was at like, I don't know, 3/8 of a tank of gas, we didn't get so lucky. So we'll go ahead and pump out the tank and see how bad it looks at the bottom. This isn't a first, but it's a very rare occasion. Bought a brand new pump, like $357, but my local AutoZone had it, so that's great. The connector's different, of course. You know, it can't just be simple. So I got to solder on the new connector, plug it in, drop it in, put the float on it and the rest of the assembly, and then we got to get some new gas. So we got the new pump in, no major catastrophes. The only thing that did trip me up was there's these little locking receivers that have to be scavenged from the old pump. They're what hold the like hose clip on. So you just put those two back there. This one snaps in without any help. And basically soldered in where the book told us to solder. It's only 4 wires, but they had, like, you know, many different ways you could wire it depending on what your fuel pump application is. So, you know, it's just a generic cable, and they're saying, well, if you've got a Camaro, it's this, but if you've got maybe like a Tahoe, it's this, or if you've got a Ranger, it's this, blah, blah, blah. In other news, that's how dated this car is. It had, and luckily I got the key with it, it has a keyed or locked gas cap. Funny, who's gonna steal it out of a Camaro? I'm gonna go get 2 gallons of gas and probably try and find some like octane booster or something like that. Man, I hate buying gas at this gas station. It's like the most expensive one in town, but it's only 3 blocks away, so pay for the convenience, I guess. Well, you can hear it's running. I only managed to get like 1/4 of a gallon of gas into it. The rest is all down here. It was like there was an air pocket preventing me from putting in any more fuel. I don't know, I'm letting it idle up and then hopefully I can put some more gas into it and see what happens. Nice squeaky belt. So the thing with the gas, I got the rest of the tank into it and basically I couldn't fill it very quickly. If I tried to fill it very fast, it meant that it would burble out. So it's almost like there's a breather clogged or something in it. I mean, maybe Camaro guys will chime in and be like, you idiot, that's how they all are. Yeah, well, I don't know any better. So, this thing needs to be run. It had a little bit of smoke when I started it up, but it's kind of to be expected. Also, you see this self-closing hatch. That's interesting. So, besides buttoning all that back up, the tires are flipped around. There's like 18s in the front and then 17s in the back. I think they tried to rotate the tires, but it ain't gonna work like that. So, as you can see, it's flat. The other ones are all probably really low. I'm gonna run to Walmart and get a new air pump. I gotta clean up the rest of the crap from the driveway from the inside of this thing. And I don't know, see if this thing can move forwards and backwards. Well, thanks to Walmart's finest, I got all the tires pumped up. It's been idling for probably 6-7 minutes now. And the only thing left to do is to find out if it does a burnout. Hey, Posy. It's not a particularly cold day today. So it's a few days later. As you can tell, my hair's getting continuously longer, as hair does. And basically, I needed to wrap up this episode. We did eventually sell the Camaro. It took some persuasion. Now's the part when you get to find out how much. I paid $1,600 for the car. I then paid for towing services and feeding my friends who went along for the tow. I also needed to buy the battery and a new fuel pump, which cost me like $360 because I had to have it that day. I couldn't wait for Amazon to deliver it to me. Anyway, we were in the car way more than I wanted to be. So when it came time to sell it, the Camaro market is a tough market. Basically, they don't want to pay for anything. They want to get a good deal just like everybody else, but it seems like way more than everybody else. I'm not sure how else to put that. It's a tough group to deal with. I understand why people love these cars. I'm not one of them. Anywho, we did eventually sell the car and basically sold it for like $2,400. So there wasn't a lot of profit at all. It was a good exercise in kind of what I should be more careful of when buying things. But we did buy the next project. Okay, I'll show you. It's another Festiva! Yes!